You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Spider Pig does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig.
Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today we're asking our panel of contributors some of the personal finance world's most controversial questions. Are they in or out? We'll parse the good, bad, and ugly from budgets to debt and from investing to insurance on today's show. But that's not all. We'll pause about halfway through today's discussion for the highlight of today's show, the crown jewel in the Stacking Benjamins media empire. Yes, that's right. I'm talking about my trivia. And now a guy who knows that 0% Aper isn't nearly as fun as it sounds. It's Joe Saul-Sehy.
I love, Doug, how you got the pronunciation right, too. Right off SNL. Aper. No, I'm pretty sure it's Aper. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Concepts Friday episode of the Stacking Benjamin Show. I am Joe Saul-Sehy, and we're going to have some fun today with this construct that I borrowed from another podcast that I listen to, which, shock of shocks, is actually about Disney. My friend Lou Mangello does this thing, In or Out, and I thought this would be fun to play on a Friday with our contributors. So let's do it. Let's meet everybody. First of all, the guy across the card table from me here in Mom's Basement, Mr. OG is here. How are you, man?
I'm Doug, clinging to life.
Sounds like you're fading in and out yourself.
I have half a bottle down of Dayquil.
You got the whole jug.
And a half a glass down of Johnny Walker Blue. So let's get it. It can't be bad.
No, science. I mean, it all works together.
I don't know what tastes worse.
I got no idea.
Straight Johnny Walker Blue or Vicks Dayquil.
2 great tastes, Paula Pant, from Afford Anything, that go great together right there.
Ooh, absolutely. And speaking of which, so here I'm surrounded by my lunch. I've got bone broth.
Bone broth for lunch.
Delightful.
Bone broth.
It's no longer just for breakfast anymore.
I've also got half an avocado.
That is not an avocado. That's like a baby avocado.
It's okay, the baby avocado.
You should.
It's
like
proportionate
veal
to me.
Did you kill a baby avocado to make that?
It's the lamb of the vegetable world.
I know.
And then, let's see, modern Mexican soda, prickly pear. Prickly pear variety.
Prickly pear soda.
Yeah.
I'm no expert on lunch, but I feel like you need a few more calories.
So the brand is Tepache?
Tepache, yeah. Tepache is the brand.
That's great. So much like we did, which one did we do on Afford Anything, where we talked about it? Spindrift.
Spindrift,
yes.
Yeah.
Today's episode, not brought to you by Tepache.
And Dayquil.
A brand I've never heard of, and sounds wonderful, though. Is it delicious?
It is delicious. It's also high in vitamin C and craft fermented.
Oh, see, we're out.
Fermented. Wait a minute. Does that mean it's alcoholic?
Oh. And speaking of alcoholic, wouldn't that be the worst intro? Jesse Cramer.
Can I ask, maybe I should have asked this before we started recording, but who's the extra person in our Signal chat?
Too soon, buddy. Too soon.
I gotta say, this joke is great because we cracked it on Wednesday and we cracked it again on Friday.
Did we?
So
okay, I missed it.
No, that's all right, dude. The gift that keeps on giving.
It Hillary who tweeted, "But my emails."
Jesse Cramer, how are you, my friend?
Doing well. Thankfully, not as sick as it sounds like some of you folks are. But I think that's because with the baby at home, we've already been through that enough times this winter, so we're on the up and up.
Wait till you start the daycare thing, Jesse. I don't know if you've done that yet, but that's the gift that just keeps giving if you want colds.
Yeah, super excited to put my immune system through that gauntlet.
To the test. Well, today we're putting all you guys through the gauntlet because we're going to ask you some fairly controversial stuff today. And I'm going to ask you, are you in or are you out? I'm actually not going to ask it. I'm going to make a statement and then we'll see if you're in or out. And we're going to ask why you're in or out on these. These are some of these could be fighting words. We'll see. I'm not going to tell all of you what those statements are yet. Before we do anything, we've got a couple of sponsors that make sure that this goodness is all free and you get it and our whole roundtable episode without paying a dime. So let's hear from those sponsors. And then we're going to ask our roundtable, and you guys can all play along at home. Are you in or out on these financial ideas? You may not know that when we started Stacking Benjamins, it was a blog. And even then, just the startup cost, I remember thinking, is this the right thing? And what if I write things and nobody comes, right? Well, luckily, that didn't end up happening. But starting something new isn't just hard. It's terrifying. There's so much work. You're not sure whether it's going to work out. You're not sure if anybody's going to read it. And then we change it to a podcast. Is anybody actually going to listen, right? What if nobody wants all the stuff that we have? Well, had I used Shopify, it would have been even easier because with their expertise, their helpful tools, and their easy to use platform, that's something that would have made Stacking Benjamins more effective much, much more quickly. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Names you've heard of like Heinz and Mattel, Shopify, Gymshark, Aviator Nation, Allbirds, also all Shopify. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button? It's used by millions of businesses around the world. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. It also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales for you. So you're stacking Benjamins much more quickly. Time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/SB. Go to shopify.com/SB. That's shopify.com/SB. Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. They're for those all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken, the times you're deep in your flow and can't be interrupted by an auto update. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to you. Built with long-lasting batteries so you're not scrambling for an outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. All right, guys. Question number one. Are you in or out? I'm going to make the statement. You tell me if you're in or out. We're going to start. We'll go ladies first here. Paula Pant. There is such a thing as good debt. There is such a thing as good debt. Are you in or are you out?
I am in with the spirit of the question, but I hate the words good and bad because they're moralizing. But I get what it's fundamentally asking, and I'm in.
Why?
Debt, when used as leverage to acquire assets, income-producing assets, leverage is a lever. It can propel you forward as long as you use a reasonable amount of it in a reasonable way.
I was going to say, but can't that leverage bite you in the ass? We saw a lot of that in 2007, 2008.
Yeah, just like any lever. Like a lever can like fling you up into the stratosphere really quickly, or it can fling you down into the earth really quickly.
It's funny. I was talking to Josh Dorkin about exactly what you just said. He's like, the thing I love about real estate is that it creates more millionaires faster. And it also is the biggest toilet flush because real estate is almost always bought with leverage. And you see all these brilliant people all of a sudden not brilliant all at the same time.
Exactly.
OG, there is such a thing as good debt, in or out.
Yeah, I'm with Paula on the words good and assuming that the opposite of that is bad. So I'm going to take that word out and say, is debt good? And I'm going to say absolutely not. That doesn't mean you can't use it appropriately, but I generally think that anything that's going to continue to require you to make payments regardless of other outcomes can't be good. That doesn't mean that it can't be used appropriately. Obviously, Paul is talking about buying real estate. My argument when people talk about real estate as being so fantastic is I'll say, well, why don't we just do that with your stock portfolio? Certainly, leveraging the 500 biggest companies in America would be a much better outcome than leveraging the single family house in, wherever America. But because stocks are priced on a minute by minute basis, a lot of times we get really nervous with that. Your house isn't priced, minute by minute, second by second, and you don't necessarily see that. But no, I've seen debt used appropriately. I've seen debt used inappropriately. Not saying that the person who's talking here is throwing stones in glass houses, because Lord knows I've done both of those things. But I fall down on the side of debt can never be good. It doesn't mean it can't be used.
It sounds like you're more out than in then.
I'm out.
It sounds like you're out.
Yeah, I know you can use it well, but I'm okay with not using it also. I think you can be just as successful not using it.
All right, Paula's in. OG is out. Jesse, there's such a thing as good debt, in or out?
I think it's funny. I think OG was in, and then he talked himself out of it.
No,
with the help of cough syrup.
No, I was never in.
We played that tape back.
Believe you me, when it comes to debt, I'm an expert.
I'm with you, Jesse. I thought OG you started off with. I'm with Paula.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Which I thought meant I'm in.
The good versus bad.
And then you
part,
went the opposite way.
I don't like the terminology.
Yeah.
The court reporter will read that one back for you, OG.
Yeah.
I am in on the statement. Let me go back to the statement to make sure I understand it correctly. There is such a thing as good debt. I'm in. My first auto loan, because my father was kind enough to co-sign it with me, was 0% for 5 years. To me, that is much better than having to pay the full sticker price out of pocket. Some people right now who secured a mortgage kind of before, maybe in like the late 2010s or the early 2020s, they might have a 2 and change % mortgage. And meanwhile, the cash that they could have used to pay that house up front, that cash is now and has been accruing interest in the last couple of years at 3 or 4%. And so if I had a 2.5% mortgage right now, I wouldn't be paying it down any faster than I had to. From that point of view, I think, to me, at least, the numbers make sense to me that there can be situations where there's good debt.
To your point, Jesse, I think I'm grateful that I have a 2.5% mortgage, but I'm using that so that I can get that darn thing gone versus, and I know it's like, oh, well, you should take that extra money that you'd put on your 2.5% mortgage and put it in the market, or better yet, put it in the market on margin, 4-1. Why not? And that's all. I mean, it would work. I remember reading an article one time. It was a scientific article about investing. They had put out basically the thesis that you should always be levered 2-1 in your stock portfolio, even if you bust. Like if you bust out, you just start over 2-1 because eventually it works out.
So somebody historically looked through this and said you would have come through way ahead if you were 2-1 leveraged.
Absolutely.
Every time.
Even though you're paying margin interest and all that other sort of jazz. But we can't bring ourselves to do it. We were talking about debt earlier this week. The reason I don't like it is not because I don't think it can work. It's because I got to make $75,000 a year to pay for my mortgage payment of $50,000. And I need to have $500,000 in my investment account to pay my $4,000 a month mortgage payment over my retirement time period if I still have it. So in my mind, the faster I can get it done with, despite the fact that it's at 2.5%, the less stress I have on my life. I don't have to make $75,000 this year because I don't have a house payment. That's $75,000 less dollars.
We got some great stackers hanging out with us. We'd love to hear if you're in or out on this. We're recording this YouTube at the regular time, about 4 p.m. Eastern time. Paul from Texas is here, Mike from Chicagoland, Margaret from Atlanta, among others, hanging out with us. We'd love to hear from you guys. You in or out on that one? Let's move on, though, while we wait for those to appear. Jesse, let's stick with you. Are you in or out? When you start out, you must have a budget if you want to be great with money. When you start out, you must have a budget if you want to be great with money.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Cramer, are you in or are you out?
This is an interesting one, Joe. I hate to be the semantic person, but when you say budget, can I substitute the word in like tracking, or do you really mean like a budget where you prescribe exactly how much you plan on spending per category?
I said it the way I said it. You do with it what you want, brother.
Then I am out, because I don't necessarily think that we need to sit at the beginning of every month, no matter where we are in our financial journey. I don't think we have to sit there and say, well, this month I'm going to put $300 in the grocery envelope and I'm going to put $20 in the car wash envelope. And I don't think that we have to do that. Do I think that by the end of the month, you should be able to look backward and understand how you spent your money? 100%. And so that's where, in some form or fashion, we need to budget or track. But I think for a lot of people, budgeting is annoying and tedious, and they've tried it before and it hasn't really worked for them. And if it doesn't, I don't really budget anymore, but I do track every single month. So the statement as spoken, I'm out.
Asterisk.
But there is that little asterisk.
Okay, but as I wrote in this brilliant book, Stacked, Your Super Serious Guide to Modern Money Management, available everywhere, Thomas Jefferson was phenomenal, Jesse, at tracking. He wrote down everything. Dude was a financial disaster his entire life and died penniless, owed tons of people money. So he did the tracking piece. It was worthless.
Sounds like a dummy. I mean, what do you want me to say?
But you said that's the good part.
Okay. I mean, listen, I don't know enough about the details of Thomas Jefferson's life. It does surprise me that he tracked everything he ever spent and wound up penniless. I mean, perhaps he was doing something else.
Maybe he was over levered.
Yeah, maybe it was 2-1. Maybe it was 2-1 levered on the Dutch East India Company.
Bad debt.
Might have been. All right. Paula, when you start out, you must have a budget if you want to be great with money. Are you in or are you out?
I am out. I'm out on that one. And actually, for me, the sticking point is the when you start out. That clause is the thing that knocked me out. I think that if we were to say that some descriptor of person must have a budget, if you are really paycheck to paycheck, when money is super tight, you must have a budget. That would be my statement. But that statement is not necessarily correlated with when you start out, right? It often is. People sometimes use that interchangeably, but there are also people who start out and they're making huge money right out of the gate. Britney Spears, massive money right out of the gate. By the time she was 15, 16 years old, she was making tons of money. And of course, it's easy to point at a celebrity, but there are also people who straight out of college, depending on their major, might be earning $90,000, $100,000 straight out of school.
Yeah, but I worked with people, Paula, that made $500,000 working for the TV station that I was at, still found ways to overspend that money. Found ways. And for them, had they had a budget in the beginning, it would have totally changed everything when they brought that money home, because they could have built the delta between the money in and the money out.
Right. So that goes back to, if you're paycheck to paycheck, if money's tight, no matter how much or how little you make, if money is tight and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're right at that line, you must have a budget.
That's where your line is.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not the same as when you start out.
All right, OG, when you start out, you must have a budget if you want to be great with money. Are you in or are you out?
No, I'm out. I hate budgets to begin with. I think the vast majority of people have no concept of what their forecasting spend is going to be for a period of time. And putting a budget in place is, at best, guessing. I'd much rather sit down with a calendar and put together a spending plan, which, again, sounds semantical, but not budget related, right? I'm not saying my budget for car washes is $240 a year, therefore I'm spending $20 or for whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like per month, it's just this month there's pollen everywhere. I'm going every other day. Like I get to spend $200 this month on car washes and $40 the rest of the year. Like I want to be in charge of that. So I would much rather have a spending plan. But even so, even at the beginning of your financial journey, if I knew how much money I needed to save and I could just YOLO the rest of my life, knowing that I'm on track for my financial goals, I would much rather do that. Like that frees up so much mental capacity to do whatever, and not stress about cups of coffee and car washes. Like that sounds like a miserable way to run your life versus being 20, like you said, or 22, like you said, Joe, and fresh out of school, making decent money going, all I have to do is just make sure these things are good. I got to put money in my 401k, max out my Roth, my HSA, and I'm rich.
But how is that not a budget? I'm disappointed in all of you. I'm jumping in here. This is because I feel like you're also talking about out both sides
because
of your
I'm
mouth.
not saying like, and then you also go like, well, this is my groceries. Oh my gosh, my groceries were $300 and I spent $305. Woe was me.
Well, but most of you have said some level of you need a baseline to know. And so that to me is a budget. I think maybe this is semantics, but to at least do it once a year and know the big buckets. Here's my rent. Here's my healthcare. Here's my food. Here's whatever installment loan payments I have to make. Do that once a year so you know how much you have to work with. Okay, then don't look at it for 6 months or another 12 months, but you have to have some baseline to understand if there's enough coming in to cover what's going out.
Doug, do you need the court reporter to read back what I said before my answer? It is semantics. It is semantics.
But what did you guys all just thought it would be sexy to say I'm out?
Well, because
I don't budget for man, so I definitely am out on this one. I'm an expert at debt and I hate it, and I don't budget anything.
If OG can't lead by example, he's got to be out. Yeah, Paula, you've got a thoughtful look on your face.
Yeah, well, because I often advocate for what I call the anti-budget, which is even the anti-budget is functionally a 2-category budget, with the 2 categories being what you save and what you spend. So even a not budget is still a budget, which means everything is budget, which means nothing is budget.
Gosh.
the Twilight Zone.
Doug's head is going to explode.
God.
If the question in some form is, do you need to measure your money? I'm all in. I'm all in. And if we want to say that any form of measuring your money is technically budgeting, okay, then I guess then I'm in.
If you're hanging out with us live,
Doug wins.
I know that I asked specifically Mike, Margaret, and Paul about these questions, but feel free to chime in. I don't want it to just be those 3. But on the first question, is there such a thing as good debt? Margaret says she's out. There is no good debt. So she agrees with OG there. Mike says, I'm in on there being good or at least not bad debt, mainly for the reasons the panel cited. Now, can I be in on more jokes from neighbor Doug? That's what Mike wants to know. And Paul says, I'm with OG, debt-free since 2008. I believe in using debt for first car and house, but his assets grew, no more debt. So like you, Jesse, the car was a good thing, but he doesn't think that's good debt. It's just necessary debt. All right, we've got a couple more after our break, but we take a moment here at the halfway point of our Friday show to dive into our year-long trivia challenge between our 3 frequent contributors. We are returning to normalcy because OG has 5. Jesse has now moved into 2nd, which means Paula's back in her normal spot in 3rd. OG has 5. Jesse has 2. Paula has 1. Can Paula turn it around? Paula, you think so?
You know, last time I came so close. So close. I really did.
You just followed your intuition again.
I know. And I wasn't even that far away. So I think I'm inching up to the finish line. I'm getting closer and closer. I think this might be the day.
I think it's going to be 2029 when Paula gets this all figured out. We'll see, though. Could start this week. It's exciting. We need a trivia question, though, to see who's going to be right. Doug, what's on tap today?
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and you want to see a magic trick? Of course you do. I only mention it because magician David Blaine, big fan of the show, I'm told, has a birthday today. Happy birthday, DB! With how popular his street magic has become, you'd think David Blaine is the highest paid magician, but nay. As Joe's mom says, alas, he is not. That honor would go to another David Copperfield. Two Davids? I wonder if they're related. So, of course, today's trivia is about magic. How much money disappeared from your pockets and went into annuities in 2024? See what I did there? A little bait and switch. You were looking over here at this hand, but the magic was over here in the other hand. I'll be back right after I get some lube because I have a feeling this answer is going to hurt.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Wow. That got overly descriptive, Doug. Annuities in 2024. Too bad we don't have Don back from last week, who could do an annuity rant or two. OG, you're going first. How much money did people put in annuities? This information from the annuity industry. So this will be worldwide amount of money into annuities.
In 2024?
In 2024.
I feel like I should have at least a ballpark guess. This is new money going into annuities. This is
new money into annuities in 2024 worldwide.
Wide. Let's say that the correct answer is going to be 37.8 billion.
37.8 billion with a B dollars. Jesse, what do you think about that number?
Worldwide?
Wide.
I think that number's exceedingly low, I think. But I'm not sure I'm thinking about the question right. So I'm going to make it hard on you, Paula. Let me think through this here. How many annuities are sold? And these are private annuities, right, Joe?
These are through insurance companies.
Through insurance companies, yeah. So how many annuities are sold, and then what's the average size of that annuity? I'm going to go 1.5 trillion.
1.5.
I can't do that math, man. Good God.
The question was how many dollars? How many dollars?
Yeah, $1.5 trillion into annuities.
In tens of thousands of dollars, Cramer.
In 2024. No, not in tens of thousands. OG's trying to reel it back in once he realizes he may have been low. I don't know if he's low or not. Paula, you think he's low?
He just threw a Hail Mary like from the 10 over the goalpost over the stadium into the parking lot. So far I feel pretty good.
He went 2 zeros higher. We'll see.
Wow. You know, when I heard the question, my thought was, well, it's going to be more than $1 billion, but less than $1 trillion. And I actually thought
exactly
that,
right.
You know, I was like, more than $1 billion, less than $1 trillion. Those were the parameters inside my head. I was not expecting anyone to actually go over $1 trillion. OG, what was your guess? It was 37.8?
37.8 billion.
Billion.
Woefully shorter than 1.5 trillion.
I think you're closer, so I'm going to go 37.9.
37.
It's a classy way to run the game.
$9 billion. So you also think, Paula, that the number is bigger than 37.8 billion.
I mean, I got to take a bet on one side or the other, and I'm following my intuition.
Oh, my God. What's the saying? Those who don't learn from history are destined to, I don't know.
Are destined to flunk history class.
Let's see if Paula flunks history class. OG at 37.8, Paula at 37.9, Jesse at 1.5 trillion. Those first two were in billions. We'll be right back to see who wins this thing.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion at checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
OG, you at 37.8 billion. Jesse thought you were not nearly high enough, and I guess Paula decided that as well. How you feeling?
I mean, pretty crappy, all things considered.
Is that from the Dayquil, or is that from the...
Kind of everything. I don't have a sense of the annuity market, so
Jesse, 1.5 trillion.
Felt pretty good about a David Copperfield answer, though. I was like, oh, this one's in my wheelhouse. I've seen this dude a couple times.
And then we pulled our own magic trick, apparently, Doug. 1.5 trillion. You're the only one whose answer starts with a T. You feeling good?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I know what. I think I remember seeing what the U.S. market was recently. I think it was around $500 billion. And so, I don't know, does the US a third of the global annuities? That's what I kind of went with. Maybe I should have said it was half, but either way, I think if the US is about $500 billion, then I'm feeling okay about 1.5.
I'm in the wrong business.
Paula, 37.9. How you feeling?
You know, I'm mixed because, I mean, the question is also new net inflows in one singular calendar year. So I don't quite know how to assess the size of the market versus how much new money is flowing in a single year. But got to choose something.
They really thought about this.
They truly did think about it.
Wow.
All right, Doug, give us the answer. Who's going to win this thing?
Hey there, stackers. I'm new owner of a giant box of Band-Aids and also guy waiting for a self-inflicted annuity-fueled shocker, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Magic. Today's question in honor of David Blaine's birthday is about how the insurance industry is able to convince more and more people to believe annuities are the answer to their life's problems. How much money magically went out of our wallets into annuities in 2024? Well, I'll say this, the answer is 12% higher than last year. This is incredible. How's this happening? I'll also say this, it was 1.068 trillion less than what Jesse guessed, because he guessed all of the available liquid cash on the planet. It was 394.2 billion more than what OG guessed, 394.1 more than what Paula guessed, meaning the correct answer is $432 billion. And more importantly, Paula moves into a tie for second place.
Oh, May, I knew it. I knew this would be the day.
Woohoo!
And there is a problem, though, Paula.
What?
There is a problem.
What?
And Jesse pointed out the problem.
It's okay. It's okay. I think that's that's the U.S. number.
That is the U.S. number. That is the U.S. number.
That's okay.
Paula still wins.
Yep.
I'm the judge. I'm ruling. Paula wins.
Yeah.
Just move along. Nothing to see here.
I was like, when Jesse's like, I think I know the U.S. number. It's about $500 million. And I went, really? That's a U.S. number? No, it's not. That's a worldwide number. Went back up, looked at it again.
Fudge. Only I didn't say fudge.
And Jesse saw the right number.
No, I think Jesse should have it. Jesse should have it.
No. It's okay. I don't, first off, take it, Paula. The second off, I don't even know do they sell annuities in other countries? I don't know
Sure
the answer
they do.
to that.
Absolutely they do.
Do they?
What is the worldwide number?
Well, that's
I
the
don't
thing.
know. The judges will look it up and we'll let everybody know next week. But I think that will make Jesse the winner. I'm fairly certain it'll make Jesse the winner if we've got $500 million just in the United States.
I've already ruled on this. I wrote it down already.
We so want Paula to win.
Yep.
Either way, OG is not getting the victory. So there's at least a little bit of David and Goliath here.
Some solace.
What's the score currently? I stopped paying attention.
I think Jesse now, assuming that Jesse's going to get the point, which we will let everybody know next week, that gives Jesse 3. Paula has 1. OG has 5.
Do you want to split it? Can we do a half point each?
We can do a half point.
Yeah?
We have done that in the past.
All right, let's do that. Let's split it.
All right.
We're not even going to look it up. We're not going to look it up and see who's right, who won.
Oh, no, I mean, just out of sheer curiosity, I would like to know what the worldwide number is, but yeah.
I will say, Paula, if your gut is saying to split it, I don't think you should.
I thought you were saying if her gut says to split it, you should take it all, is what you're saying, Jesse. Oh, man, that is funny. And Jesse, I think you saw my face because I looked at your face. No?
No, I didn't see your face.
No, because I saw you start laughing. And I thought it was in response to my, oh, God, because I thought I clearly. Anyway, all right, on to the second half.
Just for the record, LIMRA says that collectively annuity sales will reach 1.1 trillion from 2022 to 24. That's a 3-year period.
Yeah, that's probably U.S. 3 years of 300 or 400 billion in the U.S. would get us there. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe the audience can find it for us.
Doug knows. Doug awarded half a point to each of you.
If somebody more competent could do it than us, that would be great. All right, let's get back to the place where we are competent, which is creating chaos with these financial statements. Are you in or out? Paula, let's go back to you. You ready for this one? Paula Pant, are you in or out? You should talk openly about money with your friends and family. Are you in or are you out?
I am in. I think a society that has financial transparency is a healthier society. And if we, as collectively, can just, and each person has to lead by example, if we can start being more open, sharing numbers. I mean, there are numbers that, everybody has their own set of assumptions in their head. And there are numbers that one person might not think is possible and another person might not realize is as good as it is. And, when you can start putting the numbers in your life into a wider context, it's not about comparison. It's just about understanding what is possible and what is achievable and what is out there.
All right, Jesse Cramer, you should talk openly about money with friends and family. Are you in or are you out?
I am in. I do think it's hard. And I do wonder if the 5 of us or 4.5 of us, however we want to count points, I do wonder if we're all a little bit biased because we're all money people. Because my thought is if I knew, or if one of my friends was coming to me, they wanted to talk openly about money. And if they were making 3 times more than me and they had 3 times more than me or any multiple, I'm pretty comfortable with people all over the money spectrum. And it doesn't bother me. But does everybody feel that way? And that's where I just get a little bit worried about, if I start talking openly about money and someone suddenly feels pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Self-conscious?
Self-conscious, yeah.
Yeah, a little self-conscious, because that's where, if I had to guess that tried and true, hokey wisdom of you don't talk about religion and politics and money, it might be related to that idea. So I'm that glass half full optimist. I am in, but I could understand the downsides.
The interesting thing is Capital One actually put this into practice because they saw, Jesse, to your point, people with fantastic credit who use the credit card very well, generally people that don't carry a balance, they send those people specifically to people because they want to talk to individuals. People who run balances and who have a history of being late don't want to talk to anybody. And maybe it's that they feel they're going to be judged. Maybe it's they feel uncomfortable with the fact that they're late on their payments, whatever it might be. So Capital One has made it a consumer practice, like a customer service practice, just based on what you're saying. So I think there's a lot of evidence. I don't know if talking openly, do you think if people, I'm just thinking about when I was young, if I would have talked openly about money when I was young and people were talking openly about money with me, would I have gone through the valley of death like I did with my money? would that have even happened if it would have been, more in my face? I don't know. Let's get OG's take on this. OG, in or out? You should talk openly about money with friends and family.
Yeah, I think you should. Not just only things like compensation and that sort of thing. How many stories do you hear about like somebody who has been working at the same company for 25 years and Jesse's getting hosed on his pay? You're not even 25 years old, Jesse. What are you talking about?
at my engineering job. Yeah, no. Keep going, though.
That doesn't mean that you should be paid the same. I'm not suggesting that at all. But if part of the reason that we advocate shopping for jobs so frequently, and frankly, part of the reason that people do it, and my wife did it when she was in consulting, was because you get hired and then you get your pay raises and you're like, okay, I got my 3%, 4% pay raise, not knowing that the new grads out of college are getting paid here. And you're like, the company's not going to volunteer that information. Why would they? Why would they want to tell you, hey, by the way, that 22-year-old we just hired, we hired him in at 75. You're at 52 right now because we've been giving you 3% pay raises. Isn't life grand? And just having that conversation would raise that person's comp plan. And it's not until you change jobs where you go like, wait a second, 5-year veterans make $100,000. Who knew? Like that shouldn't be the case. Why do you have to go change jobs? Maybe you like your job, but at least give you the info. Same thing. It was interesting. You talked about this, Joe, about your, if you had had discussions when you were growing up. I was thinking about that. All the money stuff that was in my face when I was a kid was everything sucks about money. The man is always out to get you. There's no choice but being in debt up to your eyeballs. Like barely you can make credit card pay. Like everything was a struggle all the time. When I left home and I started working, that was kind of my life too. Everything was a struggle. Everything was, it wasn't up to me. It's funny being an entrepreneur. You're like, you can do anything you want to do, but I didn't have that mentality until later, until I dropped all the stuff that I remember from being a kid. There was no saving or investing or, let's save money for the vacation or, any of that sort of positive thing. It was all negative money talk. So I also wonder, would that have been a different path for me? And then I think there's another obligation is a tough word, but I think there's another piece of this, which is if you have some stuff figured out, then you're probably more likely to want to talk about it. Like if I was really going to go hell bent, and Paula has talked to me about this before, when we started doing some real estate investing, she was the person I talked to. I was like, I don't know the first damn thing about this. Like what are the things I'm going to screw up? And she texted me a long list of all the stuff I was going to screw up. And I did all the things, just like she said, you're going to screw up all these things. I was like, oh, good. I did them all. I screwed up all those things. But, she's great at it. Why would I want her to not want to tell me? If you want to build financial plans, you better talk to me and Jesse. That's what we're super great at. Like really great. World class, I would even argue.
Okay, settle down, Chief.
Settle down.
Best in the universe.
Best in the universe, actually.
Okay, champ.
Maybe just me, but Jesse's probably in the stratosphere also. But you know what I mean? Like, why would you want me to not want to tell you that? It's a stretch, and I get that. But this is the analogy I think about. It's like, we've got a cure for this disease. Why would we want to just keep it a secret? It just makes absolutely no sense to me that the 5 of us here have largely figured out money, not perfectly probably, but largely figured it out. And this is our platform. Like, why would we want to not tell people? And God forbid you have the secret or the answer to a problem that one of your closest friends or family members are dealing with. And you're like, I better not talk to Graham about that. She might get offended. Meanwhile, she's struggling with this issue that you could solve like that. Like, why would you do that?
It is sad, though. I have a family member who treats it like an Amway meeting. Like every time the topic
of that's not on you, though. That's on them.
It is.
It's on the
them.
receiver.
Yes.
That's on the receiver. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed, or you can't help people that don't want to be helped.
So frustrating.
But you can't feel frustrated about that. We all have people like that in our lives. But by the same token, how worse would you feel if you didn't make an effort?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think you
Great
should.
Point.
I think you should normalize a lot of things because, to Paula's point, $1 million may seem unachievable to somebody, and then all of a sudden they see that Paula's making $1 million a year, and they're like, "Wait a second, maybe I could do that." Like talk about motivation. My goodness, no downside.
Maybe Paula can eat half an avocado. I can eat half an avocado too.
Yeah, half a baby avocado.
Yeah,
it's like a delicacy, like veal.
Jesse, for people that haven't heard your engineering job story, because you referenced it a few minutes ago, but what happened in your engineering job?
I mean, actually don't talk about it a ton, but the essence is it's similar to what OG was talking about. I think at the time I was probably like 27. I had 5 years of experience and good reviews. I had a master's degree in mechanical engineering.
Scoreboard.
So I was making one number. I can share it on here. We're numbers people. I was basically making 80 grand.
We just talked about sharing numbers openly, for God's sake.
I'm in. I was making about 80 grand, which at least here in Rochester seemed reasonable. Like, we're not San Francisco, we're not New York City. But then there were new hires, 22 years old, no work experience, bachelor's degrees, were getting hired at 6 figures.
Wow.
So here I am with my experience, a little, a better degree, like the things that supposedly matter and great reviews, making 20 plus grand less than new hires.
Wow.
Right. Without open communication, again, it wasn't super open. It was more like water cooler talk, but it ended up being true. But if I hadn't known about that, I wouldn't have done anything about it. And I did do something about it. And I got like a 50 or 60% raise because I did something about it. So it's worth, especially what OG said, especially when it comes to salary stuff, you can help one another out with open communication.
And by do something about it, you mean you blackmailed your boss. That's what you did next?
I think I blackmailed HR. No, there's definitely an ultimatum that involved me going to a competitor.
I mean, there's that, but then there's also like all the other stuff. You talk about comp, like think about all the different types of compensation that are benefits, restricted shares, incentive programs, all that other sort of stuff. And that can get complicated. And if you know how to handle it, or the taxation of it, or how to think about it, like, why would you not want to share that?
Largely, our YouTube family is also in on this. Kevin says, in on talking about money. It can be uncomfortable, but by doing so, we can really help out others by letting them know what they don't know. Margaret says, I'm in on talking about money with friends and family with some guardrails. I'd love to know what those guardrails are. Interesting. Some interesting points. All right. One more, guys. This one is a big one. We're going to do this one. For somebody starting from zero, let's have OG go first.
Ooh,
this one's perfect for OG to go first. Somebody starting from zero, OG, financial independence, chasing fire before age 35 for somebody starting from zero isn't worth that sacrifice to go from zero to fully financial independent by 35. There's too much pain. Let's get on the slow-fi train, as they say. You in or you out?
Okay, there's a lot of double negatives in there. So
it isn't worth it.
Doing it is not worth it.
It isn't worth the sacrifice for you to chase fire by 35 if you're starting from zero right out of high school or college.
I mean, chasing it is one thing. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think anything fire related is worth it, honestly.
Which means you're in on that statement.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, because I couldn't keep track of which way we were going on this. Because I think that, I don't know, Dana, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, has a great comment about this, which is, what's so wrong with a life well worked? I'm not suggesting for a moment that you have to subject yourself to crappy work environments and work for the man, your whole life just to prove a point. But if you have the opportunity to save money and you have the opportunity to choose your own adventure, and I know that the definition of financial independence will vary depending on who you're talking to. Some people will say, well, yeah, you can work and be financially independent. I think of financial independence as I'm out. I'm done. I've got $5 million in the bank. I spend my 4%. I do my thing. But there's plenty of stories out there of people who have done that and then circle back to going like, I'm bored out of my mind. I think the right answer, especially in today's day, is somewhat of a combination of those things. You want to build flexibility while you have the opportunity to build flexibility. When you're 45 and you have 3 kids in school and 1 in daycare and, and sports and like all the stuff that like peak spending years, like that's not the time to be also going, and now's the time we need to be saving $5,000 a month because we're behind in our.
We need to save 62% of our income.
Yeah, it's just really hard to do. And now if you're making $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, yeah, it's a lot more reasonable to save buckets of money. But by the same token, you need to have piles of money if you're making $1 million a year and spending that kind of money. So when you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s and you're single or you're married or you have a partnership or you're not elbow deep in kids and daycare and all that sort of stuff, just be smart about your spending and saving at that time, because it buys you the flexibility in the future to do the 2-year sabbatical, which I think is totally awesome. To do the, hey, I'm gonna change jobs and do something that's a little bit less stressful now because, I want the 9 to 5. I want to be home with the kids in the afternoon or the evening. I don't want to be the on-call ER doctor from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. every day, that sort of thing. And I think what happens with fire is we get so focused on the retirement part that we just forget about the enjoyment of life along the way. And if you can do both of those things and build in the flexibility while you have the opportunity to build in the flexibility, you can be rewarded in your 40s and 50s. Because honestly, the other side of it is this: when you get to be 50 and you're financially independent, you have all the money in the world, most people don't take it. And the reason they don't is because they're like, wait a second, the kids are kind of grown, the house is paid off, the college is funded, and those idiots are paying me $500,000 a year to work in my engineering job. Maybe I'll stick around a year.
There is, you go to conferences like Economy that I was just at, and there's one more year syndrome,
which doesn't
that
make
people
it right.
suffer from. There's also the fact that I've been frugal my entire life, and now I have to turn on the spending gene, and it just isn't there.
Yeah, that's true. I think you want to measure for flexibility. And, if I could go back in time, and what I'm just hoping my kids learn out of all of this is that from the time that they get done with school and they're making big boy money or big girl money, it's like, you don't have to spend it all day one. Like, build the flexibility so that when you want to have it, because you don't know what flexibility looks like when you're 25 or 27. You don't know what you want. You don't know what you need. Wait till you're 45 and you got 3 kids and you're like, now I know what flexibility is. I want to be able to like drop everything because the coach just called and said, oh, by the way, that game starts at 4:30 today, not 6:30, my bad. Because that happens all the freaking time. Doug, you know what I'm talking about. Joe, you know what I'm talking like, hey, that swim meet? Yeah, I know we said it was at 7. Turns out it's at 4. And you're like, what the heck, man?
That one doesn't bother me that much because stuff happens to the school. This is the one that bothers me.
But I want to go to it. That's my point, is like, I want the flexibility to go.
Let me give you the variation of your story that bothers me more. Is that it's 9:30 at night and my kid comes out. They're already supposed to be in bed and they're like, yeah, I forgot I got this huge project that's due tomorrow morning first thing. And we don't have anything for it. So we get to go to Target or Walmart or wherever and begin working on it at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, but that doesn't involve flexibility for your job or your money.
I got to stay up half the night making sure that we
make sure your diorama of Saturn is perfect.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Nick, please tell your dad that his Saturn diorama looks really nice. Thanks, I will. Do I get an A?
It's so good. All right.
Build flexibility. That's the TLDR on
deal.
That.
So you are then in on that statement. Jesse, how about you? Financial independence, somebody starting from zero, fire, not financial independence, but fire. A key difference there. Is it worth the sacrifice before age 35?
I am out. I think if I understand the question right, which I think I do at this point, we've talked about it enough. It does remind me of what the Ticketmaster fee was for Joe Lewis's fight. It does remind me of that a little bit. Deep cut there.
G is in. He agrees with the statement. You don't agree with that statement, which means you think it can be worth the sacrifice.
Correct. Because the word seeking, if you're going to seek fire by 35, you have to do a lot of things right in your financial life. To do those things right from such an early age is worth it. You can always change your mind later and say, like, you know what? I regret. Maybe I've been squeezing too hard and now I want to let up. And now I want to live life a little bit. Go ahead. You've already paved such a great road for yourself. You've got your compound snowball growing so quickly from such a young age that you've unlocked flexibility for yourself. So that's why I think that I am out, because seeking fire is worth it.
Paul hanging out with us, I think, also was confused by the in or out thing, because the statement is it's not worth it. And Paul says he's out, but then he says a career is rewarding. If you live a life of deprivation, you'll miss out on too many life experiences, which means, Paul, you're actually in. So,
psych.
But Jesse, I get you definitely are out with that take. All right, Paula, you've got the final word. We got one innie and one outie.
I'm still confused about this double negative. All right, so the statement is seeking fire isn't worth it.
Seeking fire by age 35 and all the sacrifice it takes. that sacrifice is not worth it.
Is not worth it. So if the answer were to be out, then I'm out on the idea that it is not worth it, meaning I do believe that it is
That's
worth
correct.
Yes.
it. Okay, so then I'm out.
You think it is worth it?
I do think it is worth it. However, we'll put some caveats here. First of all, if you're 22 and I know a lot of people who like their dream is some type of a fat tail distribution, make it big type of a career, right? So they want to be a professional comedian. They want to be a professional actor or model. They are committed to, or maybe it doesn't even have to be in the arts. Maybe they want to start a business, but that means they're going to have to live really, really lean for a while. And rather than prioritize putting money into public equities, they're going to prioritize building that business or taking comedy classes or taking acting classes and living and working as few server or bartender jobs as they can, while spending the rest of their time at auditions, right? Like, I think that's a perfectly wonderful way to spend your 20s and 30s if that's what you choose to do. And so for that cohort of people, I don't think that they should beat themselves up about the fact that they're not seeking fire. So kind of like Jesse, I want to make a distinction here that I'm referring only to the people who are in a life circumstance in which they have decided that they are specifically seeking fire. Maybe they're a software engineer, they're a mechanical engineer with a master's degree making $80,000 a year. They've decided that they're specifically seeking fire. I think that it is, for that cohort of people, it is worth it because, and this might also come down to the semantic difference of how do you define fire. I define fire as work optional. And that doesn't mean that somebody is going to drag you kicking and screaming out of the workplace if you don't actually want to leave, right? There's no internet retirement police that's going to forcibly remove you from your desk. So fire to me is simply the point at which you have flexibility, you have options. You can choose to work, you can choose to not work. Most people do choose to work ultimately in some form or fashion. But I don't believe that retirement is the cessation of the permanent and irrevocable cessation of all income producing activity, which is how many people treat it.
Wow. Did you get that language right out of the Declaration of Independence?
We the people.
It sounds like a war treaty.
Yeah.
Some armistice treaty. The cessation of all workplace activity forever and ever.
It was in our signal chat.
We're just sharing it with everybody. That is interesting because I think it's the RE piece, right? That's the sticking point for people chasing RE before 35. Because I tend to agree with OG that my feelings on that have changed so much, and I might not be old enough to know, but chasing it, to Jesse's point, okay, you're going to put some cool systems in place if you're truly going to want to get there. It's interesting stuff. So let me go over some of them, stackers. If you want to do this at home with your friends that we didn't get. No, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save them for next time. We're going to do this again. I like this topic. I'm going to bottle those up. We're going to do it again later. Thanks.
Joe, just one suggestion for when we do this next time, maybe don't make the wording so clear. Like maybe don't be so straightforward with just beat around a few more bushes.
Yes. I'm going to put double negatives into every question just to see where you go with it. Big thanks to everybody hanging out with us today on YouTube. What a fantastic chat we had today. Thanks to all of our contributors. Doug's going to thank everybody. But before we do that, of course, we got to find out what you guys are doing. Jesse, I just noticed that in Gertrude's show and tell on the refrigerator today in the basement, you had a cool blog post about where your assets are located.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Gertrude show and tell. Is that a real thing? What should I know what that is?
You posted on that.
Oh,
I think you do know what it is.
Yes. Sorry. I didn't know it by that name.
You posted on her thread.
Yes. Now I know which Gertrude I thought, is that a reference to your mom?
It was going on Mom's fridge. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I thought that was an interesting article, the topic of asset location, where should you place tax inefficient investments, maybe like a bond, and make sure they're in a qualified account where the taxes are not deferred? And then should you place efficient investments, maybe like a stock, into your taxable account? And is that a great way of going about your financial plan? And how much money does it save you? And are there drawbacks? And the answer is, well, it definitely can save you some money, but there definitely are some drawbacks.
Yeah, I love the drawbacks part because you make a big point of going, if you're, you could just be spinning your wheels. Come on.
Yeah.
I think we need to think about it a little bit. But what's going on in the podcast, my friend?
Last week, we released a really nice conversation with Christine Benz, who's just terrific from Morningstar, director of personal finance and retirement. And then next week, I'm pretty sure we're dropping one of our AMA episodes, which are always a hit.
Is Christine Benz one of the nicest people on earth? I think she is.
Totally. She's awesome.
I think
she's awesome.
100% is. Paula Pant, speaking of nice people on earth, what's going on at Afford Anything?
Well, before we get there, I have a proposal. I have a suggestion, but it's a bit of a question. All right, so Jesse, what do you think of this? I'm thinking about that trivia point, the question mark trivia point. What if we form the Coalition to Beat OG? And
look at OG's face. For those of you not on YouTube right now, you need to be here live.
Bring it.
The Coalition to Beat OG, and it becomes a floating point that either one of us can claim at the end of the year if need that. Yeah?
You don't get to take over this trivia.
You can't. That's what I'm like. Wait a minute.
Absolutely not.
We're just going to hold the point in reserve until somebody needs it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not happening.
Strategic reserve.
Now, if you two want to go off stage and somehow collude in a way that makes his chances lower of winning, I would never know about that, right? Like if you want to somehow pay somebody to get a question in advance, I'm like, who's going to stop you? But
and who are you to say no?
The show. I'm not.
Who are you to say no?
I mean, I don't even know who you would bribe about that. But
Doug, what's your Venmo?
But I'm not going to just let you trade points willy-nilly.
No, the floating strategic reserve. I think we have national interests in a strategic reserve of maintaining a point for OG beating purposes.
Paula,
y'all can do whatever you want to do.
I think Doug's right. Let's take this to Signal. Let's.
And somebody's going to accidentally invite OG.
Yeah. Whose initials are OG? Og?
Whatever.
Who's
as long as we're bombing somebody, I don't care.
Got no idea who that might be. All right, what's going on at Afford Anything, Paula?
On the Afford Anything podcast. So we've had Nomadic Matt on the show talking about how you can travel the world for $75 per day.
He has a new edition of his book out.
Exactly. I actually just went to his book launch at the Strand in New York City. We also have on that same topic an interview with Jillian Johnsrud, who is a mom of 6 who takes frequent mini retirements and sabbaticals with her kids. So she talks all about long-term travel with kids. And then I myself will be middle of April in Panama, and I'm going to be hosting an episode from the Panama Canal.
From the Panama Canal.
From the Panama Canal. Exactly. All the ambient Panama Canal noise.
As she's doing the backstroke down the Panama Canal.
Cement booties on. Wait a minute.
It is so funny. Every time Paula and I are in a room together, I'm always reminded, first thing, of my goodness, you are short. And Julian Johnsrud, whenever I meet her, which I did last week, she turns the corner and I'm like, my goodness, you are tall. She is very, very, very tall.
Very tall.
Yes. And both brilliant people. I think that every time too. How come I get reminded of that by my mom all the time? Why can't I be as brilliant as Julian or Paula? Jesse, what are you laughing at?
Well, I just thought it was funny that was the second thing that you thought of. Like, first thing first, like, geez, look at the heights.
She is short.
But also, there's more to your person than just your height. I just like how that's your thought process, Joe.
It just, I'm sure they say it when they see me. People are always like, my goodness, Joe, you are bald. And OG, what do you got going on this weekend, my friend?
Oh, well, funny you should ask. Public service announcement for everybody out there, age 45 or older. Today is my colonoscopy. So if you have not done one, you should do it. And
pictures or it didn't happen.
Enjoy every second of it, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just enjoying it.
I think what everybody needs to do is follow
laying down. I don't even
Mom's
know what's
neighbor
happening.
Doug's advice on how to prep for a colonoscopy.
Yeah, eat a big giant pizza right before you go. It's like eating a box of Oreos right before you go to the dentist.
Doug, what time were you supposed to stop eating?
Allegedly at lunchtime.
At lunchtime. What time did you finish eating?
I finished eating my entire pizza and full order of crazy bread at 7:30 p.m.
And as you can imagine, that went really well.
That delayed the exit of things quite a bit.
By about 8 hours?
By
Who knew?
about 8 hours, such that it was still occurring when I was in pre-op.
I will be following all the rules to a T. And as I mentioned, public service announcement, you should get it done. I've delayed it for a couple of years and I didn't mean to, but it's super treatable if something bad happens. So just go do it. You know, it's probably not that big of a deal. I'll let y'all know on Monday if I'm walking funny.
See, we'll talk openly about health and wellness as well in the grossest way possible. Doug, take it from here, man. Get us out of this. What should we have learned on today's show?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from Paula and her take on immoral debt. When is it good and bad again, Paula? And how do morals factor into this?
Oh, well, so debt is good if you are either very short or very tall, but it's bad if you're an average height.
Nailed it. Second, don't forget what OG said about achieving fire or not achieving, I don't know, by 35. What was that again, OG?
Yeah, it's a really big, giant waste of time. And you should just YOLO.
YOLO! But the big lesson? Don't try and show Joe's mom your magic trick. Trust me, her magic trick where she uses hurtful language and mean faces to send you to the store for another case of extra large Depends works way better than your trick, no matter what it is.
No.
Thanks to the Jesse Cramer for hanging out with us today. You'll find his fabulous podcast, Personal Finance for Long-Term Investors, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. Thanks to Paula Pant for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous podcast. Apparently everybody's podcast is fabulous but ours, Joe. You'll find Afford Anything wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And thanks also to OG for joining us today. You'll find his fabulous podcast. No, you probably won't, but you can go to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2025, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe gets help from a few of our neighborhood friends. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamins Show.
Comment here from Mike. Mike says, when I met Joe in a parking lot, true story, I thought, my, what an average height Joe is.
That's what you meant by average Joe money.
That was exactly.
On Twitter.
My goodness, he's such average height.